Yes, guys, and a welcome from me. This is Championship Manager 0102, King of the Dugout, Part 13. And we're at the best part of the season. We're at the very start of Season 2. The guys have been sending in their team sheets. The auctions are all complete. Everything is complete. We had one more twist, which Mark Whittaker is so great with his ideas of twists and twists of the twist in the plot is great, and they're nothing major. They're not game changers. Some people have questioned. I don't know. Do you know what? This is a fun game. This is a fun interactive game. But we've got to the start of the season now. The only latest thing that we've got is Mark's implemented a new loan strategy, which won't take effect until next season. Because remember from the last video, we've got loans in this game. Where the guys all picked a number. Remember that from the last video. All the auctions are completed now. I think the last auction we did, was it auction 3 or 4 or 5 we were up to? But now I'm going to go through everybody with you and just tell you what I really feel, how I feel they've all gone. So we're going to start then with Jesper Ronman, AC Runmansion. Now, no one is to blame Jesper for the late delay in starting Season 2 because he's away on holiday, he's back Saturday, and I said that's absolutely fine. It gives us all a bit of a break. I appreciate some people are eager for this to start, and I get that. I genuinely get that. But I think sometimes both myself and Mark, we need a little bit of time out, and I think it's almost a chance to recharge the batteries. So let's talk about Jesper. Jesper wasn't really very active in the auctions. He never really had massive amounts of money. I'm trying to think if there's anything that stands out. I don't think there's anything that really stands out. Anyway, just bear with me a minute, guys. I'm looking for something that I need to just have. Yeah, just need to just load something up, ready to tell you. Yeah, he's not brought anybody of interest, and I feel that maybe because his lack of real superstars, it could be a struggle. It really could be a struggle, but we will see. We will see. Over to Atletico Madrid. He'll still be my favourite for the Premier League title. You can see he's got Beckham in. I think again he was quite quiet towards the back end of the auctions. But Denilson was a free transfer essentially. If I remember rightly, I might have this wrong, but let me just cast my mind back. I think Noel Draper bid free transfer for Denilson, and he didn't have any more money to increase the bid because it was matched by somebody, Ross Horn I think it was, or Gary Hanks, and because neither could increase their bid, it had to go to lots, which was basically Mark assigned a number to both of the guys, and somebody else picked a number, and it was drawn lots. It's the only way we could decide in the fairest way. I still feel he's got a great squad, I really do. Walter Samuel, Petit, he's got some great. I mean, Beckham will be a big player. Luca Toni, he's got Rivaldo. He's got some Van Bommel. He's got some absolute monsters. Really has. And finally in the Premier League, D-Generation X, Stuart Danton. Stuart Danton, he's still got a bit of money. I think he's picked up Luzio. I think he picked him up dirt cheap. Requelt, Henrik Larsson, Agahoa. He's got some real big beasts. He really has. I feel that maybe, I don't know if it's going to be interesting. I feel it's between Atletico and D-Generation. I think Atletico will edge it. Now, the big thing for these guys, of course, in the Premier League is, let's take Stuart Danton, for example. His biggest rivals are Noel Draper and Jesper Ronman. He's only got 2 rivals. The likes of Arsenal, Man United, etc., they'll buy players, but I don't think there'll be as much of a challenge as what his 2 human rival managers will be. But who knows? Who knows? So a quick one then on what was announced yesterday is from next season, anybody in the Premier League, so it will obviously be, assumingly, these 3 guys, assuming they don't get relegated, and 3 more if they get promoted, which they should. Anyone in the Premier League can loan players to players in the 2nd tier, not the opposite way around, not in the same division. So it was just a way of just adding something to the game. We want to keep the game as entertaining as possible. So that is the new thing. So we will see. Now, before we go any further and we go to the Championship, Mark also did a reward thing where no one was obligated to participate, although I believe every person did. So basically, Everybody picked a number between 1 to 16. And whoever was last number, we'll talk about Noel Draper in a moment. Noel Draper with Pathetico. But everybody picks a number. And Mark had designed a breaking news. You know those breaking news with a major story. Now, it was a bit like a chance card in Monopoly. It was either good or it was bad. It was either brilliant or it was awful. So, I'm now going to tell you what Jesper Ronman was. Jesper Ronman, I forget what number he picked, but in fact, I'm going to start with Stuart Danton if I can. Actually, Stuart Danton, fictitious name and fictitious created picture from somewhere. Kim Young Lee, a South Korean businessman, has joined the board and pumped in £5 million into your transfer kitty next year. So, just by picking a number, Stuart Danton has been awarded £5 million. It was all done completely at random, and that's been added to his bank. And he'll be absolutely delighted. That ups his bank. Of course, he can't touch his money now because the auctions are finished. That was a twist, you see. If we'd done this before or mid-auctions, it's a bit shit. But now, you know, it is complete luck. And I thought it was good fun. The one for Jesper Ronman was fucking harsh. I knew this was in the list. Mark had told me. Get ready for this then. Jesper Ronman at AC Runmansion. Your kit man has done a Savile and has been caught with dodgy images on his hard drive. You bribe your mates in the forces and most tabloids, but you are now £1 million lighter in cash to get this brushed under the carpet. So essentially, he's got a £1 million fine. Even though I think it's brought him into the red, he will obviously get money at the end of next season. Any monies will be readjusted properly at the end of the season with prize money if they get any. So that is that. Now let me just tell you about Noel Draper here for Pathetico Madrid. This was a tricky one because he hadn't actually given his authorisation that he was participating. Now, admittedly, Mark did make maybe a bit of a boo-boo by saying 12 o'clock was a deadline, and then he changed it to 11 o'clock. But it weren't until 11:47, this was a couple of days ago, 11:47 a.m, that Noel says, yeah, count me in. After, 1 minute after Mark had said, the 11 o'clock deadline has gone, and this is what he missed out on. And he had another one, which was like another cash injection. So it made it very difficult, and I think he actually made 20. I think he made 20 different. So we did allow Noel to have a card, and it was one, and I'm not 100% because I've not got it wrote down. It wasn't the best one in the world. It's something similar to one that I'm going to read out later on. I will remind you. So, but I'll come back to that in a moment. Over to the first division now then. Let's start then with, we'll start with Atletico 5, Connor Marchbank. Now, Connor, let me remind you, Connor's our new recruit. He started season 2, and to be fair to Connor, he's done really, really well. He's built up a team. You know, we've got to resort his finances out at the end of the season. He owes Stuart Danton £1 million, but he's picked up some players. I don't think he's got any pressure on himself, to be honest with you. He hasn't got the most biggest worldy team in the world, but he's got a team, and it's all about the tactics. Now, I will not click on any tactics of anybody, because let me remind you, we've got 3 unlocked tactics that the guys can choose between. They choose between 6 in total, but he's picked up a couple of players. I felt Roy Mackay was a great sign, and I think he only paid a couple of £100,000 for him, to be honest with you. And I feel maybe his expectation really would be a top 10 finish. Let me remind you guys, right, every single player has a reputation of 10,000, which means the expectations are they're going to do well. Now, Gary Hanks at North London is Red. He knows only too well about expectations, and if they're not met, then you get given a P45. So the best of luck for Connor Marchbank. Connor Marchbank, let's just see what you got. If I can, this is harsh. So he picked his card. I feel like I said, I think he had loads of cards and he had a couple of spare cards. Most of your European players have been caught abroad after an earthquake in America. They were attending the UEFA conference, so you must play as many non-Europeans as you can and get into your squad using your chosen formation for the first month. So this is very similar to what Noel Draper has got. I think his is something very similar where he's been restricted on his first month. It is only for the first month because you can't go any more. So let me just repeat that. Most of your European players have been caught abroad after an earthquake in America. They were attending the UEFA conference, so you must play as many non-Europeans as you can and get into your squad using your chosen formation. So that is what Connor is at for the first month. Over to... Oh, he's already sent me in his team. Over to Dark Destroyers, Matt Collier-Brown. And Matt, right, he's most people's firm favourite to win the title. You know, we said, if I remember rightly, he brought Oliver Kahn. Candela was a great signing. Rock Jr. was a good signing. Patrick Vieira was a monster signing. Paul Scholes was a... There was a little bit of a problem with Paul Scholes. I think I made an error, but we did have a resolution for that. Ortega's on loan. Batistuta was a massive one. Absolute massive one. You know, Matt will do well this season. I think a lot of people's tests have been Matt winning the title out and out, which possibly puts him under a bit of pressure. But no one could have done a test with what formations people are going to do this season, because no one knows. Particularly with one of the unlocked formations, which is a 4-1-2-1-2, which I believe will prove quite popular. So no one knows who's going to play it, so it's hard to do a proper test. And do you know what I mean? So, Matt, the very best of luck for you. Some monster signings. And Matt's chance card. Dave Rundle, a local English businessman, has been named on the board and has pumped in £1 million into your transfer kitty for next season. So he's had a lot of luck, Matt has. When he did the sponsorship, he got the right numbers. When he did the loan, he got the right number with Ortega. He got some great deals in. He really did. I think, who was... Yeah, he brought Candela. Oh, Cafu. It was Cafu. Now, Cafu and Shevchenko, right, on one of the auctions, no one bid for him. Can you believe them? Can you believe that? No one bid for any of them. And they could have gone on a free transfer. The following auction, they were always going to go, because we obviously emphasised that they didn't go. Matt picked them up, and I think he still picked them up for a relatively cheap amount. Cafu's a great signing, really is. Over to Dunthorpe. This is Ross Horn. Ross Horn, I still feel he's got a very strong defence. In the likes of Hoffland, Nesta, Barry, I think I said that previously. He's had difficulty getting players. He was out of money quite early on. I think he did finally get a player towards the end of the auctions. Trying to remember who it is. He got. I think it might have been... is it Tainio? I think it was Tainio he got. Nothing special. I think, to be fair to Ross, he struggled because I think maybe he went a bit wrong on the player-to-player deals, and maybe he'll learn from it. And because he's had a bit of a tough time, I really hope he does well. I really hope. He's got no pressure. He really has got no pressure at all. Ross's chance card. Ready? Your first team has been spotted out drunk and vandalising things in your local town centre. You must play your lowest value players in each position in a formation of your choice, as the top stars are banned for a month doing community service. So, you know, it is very, very interesting. It's a bit of a harsh one. Let me remind you that Ross also got the shitty sponsorship deal as well of Barry's Bargain Basket. As you can see, Stade de Barry's Bargain. You know, he's had a bit of a tough time. It really has. I do genuinely feel for Ross. His team is not in yet. Over to the Dutch Warriors, another high-tip team to win the title. They've made some monster signings. Mark Rutgers has been very, very busy. Barthez, Cannavaro, Iliano, Chivu was a great one. Roy Keane, Zambrotta, Nedved, Nicky Ferrand, Rui Costa was a bargain. Figo, Del Piero, Raul. You know, I've mentioned a whole lot of names there, and they are absolute monsters. Mark Rutgers will be, he'll be up there. I'm not saying he'll win a title. I'm not saying he will fuck it up, but he'll be up there. I fancy him to be up there along with Matt Stark Destroyers. There's no reason, and I think there's a lot of expectation on him. There really is. His wild card, if you call it, a chance card. I seem to be missing a couple of people, actually. Knowles is one of them, and I'm missing somebody else's for some reason. Okay, Mark Rutgers, loyal fan Edward Jones has passed away, leaving you 100 grand to spend on your players for next season. So not the greatest, could have been a lot worse, as we've seen. Not the shittiest. You know, it's 100 grand. You know, it's no here or there for Mark Rutgers. But a great auction for him indeed. Glasgow United, William McGregor. Now, William McGregor, this is interesting because he's got a fucking huge squad. He's got an absolute huge squad here of 44 players. Let me just remind ourselves. 44, I'm pretty sure it's 44. Yeah, and you know, he hasn't got... it's a bit like Jesper Ronman, really. He's not got the best squad in the world in terms of quality, but he has got a good depth squad. Again, I would love to see William do well for this very reason. Montella's a great signing, and I think it's going to all be about tactics this season. Montella and Joe Cole alone can do some damage, so I really hope he does well. William, let me just see, have I got something for him, what his chance card was? I don't think I have. Oh, I have, sorry. Right. A local gang of youth have set fire to the training ground and caused massive amounts of damage. This will cost you 100 grand. So, bit of shit luck for him there. Okay, one more thing then. So, another thing that's been implemented for next season during the player-to-player deals. This is very, very important. So, basically, this is really, I mean, I spoke to Mark about this. Someone like William could struggle. He could struggle with squad size. So, at the end of the season, during player-to-player, he will have an option to release players on a free transfer. However, that's not going to come cheap. So if he wants to release Dawson, he'll get released back into the CPU world, but he has to pay to release him. If he wants to free up space, that's what he's got to do. He'll still get CPU bids, and the CPU bids will come first before the player-to-player and the free transfer option. So he might get a CPU bid for Kevin Dawson, and if he does, he'll obviously rip our hands off for it. But let's pretend he don't, and he thinks, right, let me fuck Kevin Dawson off. He will have to pay, I think, Mark, I'm trying to remember what we said here. It's something like, we round his value up to $1 million. It'll cost 100 grand to release him. I think that's what we said. I can't be 100% on that. We have to check. If he's worth under $1 million, it'll cost 100 grand. If he's worth under 2 million, he'll cost 200 grand. And so on and so on and so on. So if he wanted to free up Jamie Langford, hypothetically, it will cost him 200,000 to release him. I think that's what, yeah, that is what we said. So, William McGregor, that is the situation for you. Okay, I think we're halfway through, guys, so let's just speed this up a little bit. North London is red. Gary Hanks. Now, Gary Hanks was another one. He didn't have the greatest auction in the world. He tossed off a lot of his money, as I pointed out in the previous video. But you can see there, this is an official save, let me remind you guys. So any injuries, you guys are just going to have to deal with it. But he'll be fit for the start of the season. Demetrio Albertini. Injury prone is a bit worrying, but good player. Filippo Inzaghi, top goal scorer last season, of course. Rebrov's a good signing. Milosevic, Robert Pires. He's actually got a good team, and he was a bit unlucky last season. But Gary Hanks, you know, he's got plans for the new season, and the very best of luck to him. It's not the biggest team in the world, it's not the best team in the world, but he's still got some. Merson was a great signing. Merson was an absolute great signing, and fingers crossed then for Gary Hanks. Let's have a look what his card was, because I can't quite remember. I don't have one for Gary Hanks. Yes, I do, sorry. Okay, yeah, Gary Hanks, you might have worked this out already. The player who joined you on loan does not want to play for you and has his loan terminated right away. So whoever it was a defender of some kind. He has been sent back. He's got no loan here, as you can see. Okay, over to the next one. And that is Pageant Rangers, Trevor Choi. Trevor Choi, Michael Owen was a big signing. There was another one he bought which I thought was quite interesting. I'm trying to remember who it was. I know Michael Owen was one of them. I'm trying to look through. Richie Wellens, the assist machine. I can't, maybe it's just Michael Owen I'm thinking of then. So he's bought a little bit here and there. I'd like to see Choi do well. Trevor Choi, it's Trevor Choi's name is. I would like to see Trevor do really well. I think he's going to struggle. I think, you know, everybody around him have really built their squads, and maybe he's going to be a bit behind on that. However, there was one bit of positive news for Mr. Choi. Saudi businessman Al-Kabri Saeed Hassan has joined the board and will pump in £20 million for transfers next season. It was the best card in the deck. £20 million. He picked the number, and I'm really happy for him because I think he needed a bit of luck, and he can't grumble with that. Let me remind you, his sponsorship is Pornhub. Of course, we all remember what his sponsorship was. You couldn't script it. We have a lot of jokes with Trevor, myself and Mark on our WhatsApp group, along with Philippe Dirala. Let me know your views, guys, on maybe creating a WhatsApp group for King of the Dugout. Let me know your views. And we do a lot of joking around. And for that to pop up when Mark did the sponsorship was just fucking hilarious. It was brilliant. You could not script it. You couldn't script it. Okay, that is Mr. Choi done and dusted. Over to Sam Wheatley. Sam's Bastards. Let me remind you, he was the worst manager. I don't want to name and shame, but he was the worst manager last season. Now, Sam did a lot of his business in the early part of the auctions. But he picked up Diego Simeone for free. Mendieta, massive defensive midfield partnership I feel he's got. Overpaid, in my opinion, as I said before, on Sahar. DJ Armenia's there. Again, not really much pressure on Sam Wheatley. He hasn't got the best squad in the world, and I just think he'll be hoping just for a better season than what he did last campaign. Let's take a look at what Sam got. Sam got on his chance card Fernando Luzio de Santos, a Uruguayan media mogul, has joined the board and will pump in £15 million to transfer coffers next season, the second best by far. And that has been welcomed. That has been more than welcome for Sam Wheatley, who I think is going to have a tough campaign. I really do. So the best of luck there, Sam. Lee Sharples, sharpshooters. Zidane. Right. Okay, first things first, we've got to tell you what Lee Sharples' card was. He was one of the first to do it. And now this was brutal. I even feel bad saying this. Your most valued player has been caught betting on games and has been suspended until January the 1st. And it is, as you can see, it is, of course, Zinedine Zidane. And it is implemented that he does have a 6-month global ban. The date on the editor is the 1st of January 2002. He will come back there or thereabouts. That was absolutely brutal. He actually had a very good auction. David Trezeguet, Buffon. We'll call it Lee's favourite son, Alan Shearer. And it was bizarre because he brought. Do you remember the error that he made with Robbie Fowler? He brought Pierre van Hooijdonk first, then Shearer came, then Trezeguet came. He's got a really strong team. He's got a very young Kaka down there as well. Forward line, it looks quite dangerous. It's hard to know, if he's going to hold up really defensively. But the very best of luck, Lee Sharples, without Zinedine Zidane. And I've done it so he got a suspension within the game, so then AI can't do it for us. Okay, we're down to the last, what we've got left? We've got 3 more left. Soylent Green, Al Mo. Now, these are, first things first, they're not auto values. Al Mo has specifically asked me to change the values to certain players, which is absolutely fine. Now, remember I said to you, I made an error with Paul Scholes over at Dark Destroyers. I fucked up, and I'll be honest with you, I made a complete mess up. But we came to a compromise, a resolution, and that was we gave Mr. Al Mo, the Soylent Green gaffer, an option to sign Clarence Seedorf, someone who was relatively on par with Paul Scholes. Now, believe it or not, while some people would say Paul Scholes is better, in some degree he is, but auto value and reputation, Seedorf is better. And he opted for the Seedorf deal. But look at his squad. I mean, Soylent Green, he did really, really well with his balance. He did his auction superbly. Van Nistelrooy, Ryan Giggs, Totti, Davids. He's already sporting the likes of Tomasi and Hoffland. Palermo, the best loanee in the game. Emerson, Robbie Keane, Lundberg. He's got some absolute, and he's going to be amongst my favourite to be up there at the end of the season. There's no doubt about that. Let me remind you guys, the reason you can't see everybody highlighted is because some people have already sent me their teams in, so I've already got them on holiday. That's why you can't see Sam's Bastards highlighted. He's going to be amongst one of my favourites to go to do it. Let's have a look at Soylent Green's wild card, if we're going to call it that. Swedish tech giant founder Thomas Lindholm has joined the board and pumped in £10 million into your kitty for next year. So a great fucking card for him, 10 million. And as I said, he played his auctions absolutely perfect. He held on to money and he picked up some absolute monster superstars, and I've got to give him credit where it is due, because he did really, really well. And he is definitely one of my favourites. I'll quickly go to that in a moment. Okay, 2 to go then. Sunday strikers. This is Philippe Dirala. Philippe Dirala was one of my favourites at the start of last season. I felt he picked up some, a bit like what Alamo did, he picked up some great players at the right time. Hasn't really had the greatest auction in the world, to be honest with you. As you can see, the top 4 players in his value are players that were there last season. So I feel that he's had a bit of a tough run. He really has. In terms of Philippe, his wild card, ready for this? Rats have been found in your stadium causing havoc, and it's going to cost you 250 grand to get them out for good. I think what we're going to do is we're probably going to retain increments of 100 grand, so that's actually going to be 300 grand. Just so you know, it's going to be 300 grand. I'm not missing one actually at all, I've just realised. It's not going to be 250, it's going to be 300 I think, because we don't have increments of 50 grand, which Mark may well have just forgot, but it is what it is. So Philippe Dirala, the very, very best of luck. And finally, Trump Towers FC, managed by Mike Evangelou, aka Miguel Dante. Now, he picked up some fucking beauties. Shevchenko, I said to you that he could have gone on a free, but he went soon after. And, you know, I think he paid a 3 million, I think, something like that. Toldo's a great signing. Harry Kewell was already there. Kesman was already there. Hasselbank was an absolute steal. I think it was something like a few hundred grand I think he got. Bo Morto, I think, is a great signing. He's already sporting some great players in the likes of Sagno and Zori. And then, you know, he's got Rio Ferdinand that he brought in as well. And I think Sol Campbell, just looking, Sol Campbell, he's got an absolute, and I believe Trump Towers will do well, I really do. His wild card then was, you've won best looking dad body in a national fashion magazine for women, and publicity has earned you 250 grand. Well, you couldn't script it. Of all bastards to get that card, it's Miguel Dante. So that's where we're at. And now my tip in this first division, you know, there's a lot. I think Trump Towers will do well. I think Soylent Green will do well. I think Dutch Warriors will do well. And I think Dark Destroyers will do well. I feel 2 of those 4 will easily make promotion. I couldn't even tell you who I think is going to win the title, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of competition. I do think the other 2 will get playoffs, but the bottom line is one of those 4 will not make it. They're going to have to wait another season. But who knows? Who knows? There's other teams that can still, you know, cause surprises. They really can. The last thing I'm going to go to, this is for the benefit, because I will post this. So as you can see right there, all the people that it says on holiday watching, you guys have already sent me your teams. Thank you, appreciate that. You guys have got until late Saturday to send me your teams. One of 6 unlocked formations. Just remember your restrictions. Some of you guys, Ross, Noel, you guys need to remember your restrictions based on your card. Noel, you'll need to contact Mark to verify what yours is. I don't have yours wrote down for some reason. So as you can see, you know, we've got 7 in from 15. We're looking good. We're looking very, very good. And, you know, hopefully we're going to have a good season ahead. And that's it from me, guys. Until next time in the King of the Dugout, take it easy.